Hello, this is Bill. Welcome back. In this video, you'll learn more about animation and the timeline. In particular, you'll learn how to animate text as shown in the example that I will play momentarily. But before playing the movie, let's go ahead and take a look at the timeline. I've got three layers. My background layer, which is the picture, everything but the text, will start on frame 1 and will last the duration of the movie, which is 72 frames, and there will be no changes throughout the background. My middle layer, which is going to be the cleanest rooms in town, text 1 there, is going to start in frame 1 and it's going to fade in and will be completely in place by frame 24. Once that is in place, starting here in frame 25, going about frame 48 here, is going to be the phone number, and then what I've got here at the end are some frames which will cause about a 2-second delay. So what's going to happen is for about 2 seconds, the cleanest rooms in town will come in, that will stay, then the phone number will appear, and then for about 2 seconds I'll have a delay, and then if I turn on my loop, and I'll show you how to do that, it would just repeat that whole process over and over. Well, let's go ahead and watch this movie in action here. I'll highlight the frame 1, I'll come up here to control, and I'll go play and see if you kind of watch the stage and the timeline together here. There comes the first piece of text, then the phone number, and then again if I was to put loop on, nothing would happen for 2 seconds, and it would repeat that whole process over and over. Well, now that we know what we're trying to create, let me go ahead and close this file, and I'll come along and create a new flash file, and I'll use ActionScript 3.0. Okay, the first thing I want to do is get that girl on the stage, and to do that I'll come up here to File, and I'll come to Import, and I'll go Import to Stage. And here's the file I want to import. GIF allows you to import various types, GIF, JPEG, etc. This file is a JPEG file, and I'll simply highlight it, and I'll press Open. And that has really done two things. It has placed that image on the stage, and has also placed a copy in the library. Well, at this point I'll come up here and I'll double click, and I'll call this my background. And I'll press the Enter key, and I'm just going to go ahead. A lot of times, if I feel that I'm not going to be making any changes here, I'm going to come right up here and go ahead and lock that. That way I can't accidentally move that image around on the stage there. Okay, each one of these little rectangles here denotes a frame, and if I want to either zoom in or zoom out, I can press on this little icon way over here on the right called the Frame View menu, and if I wanted to kind of zoom out a little bit, see some larger frames, I could choose either medium or large, and you can see how large those frames are. Or if I kind of wanted to zoom in a little bit, I could use either small or tiny. Well, I want this movie to last 72 frames, so let me just come right up here, and I'm going to choose small. That would kind of allow me to see all 72 frames there. Okay, so kind of taking a look here, let me go ahead and position my cursor here in frame 1 of the background, and again we want this to last 72 frames. And to do that, I could, if I want to kind of lengthen this, I need to insert some frames. So I could come up here and go Insert, Timeline, and I could choose Frame, or I could use the keyboard shortcut F5. Now it's going to last two frames there, and I could repeat this process. I could come up here to Insert, Timeline, Frame. Now my little movie is going to last 3 seconds. Or I could position my cursor right here, and I could press F5. Or I can press it here, press F5. I'm just adding some additional frames here. Or what I can do is just simply come over here, highlight frame 72, and insert a frame. Again, that is F5. Or let me do it one last time here, just kind of reinforce the keyboard shortcut there. Insert timeline, frame, F5 there. Okay, now this background will again start in frame 1 and will be visible throughout the entire movie, which is going to last 72 frames. I'm now going to come along and press on this little icon here called the Insert Layer. I'll come up here, I'll double click, and I'm going to go ahead and call this Text 1, and I'll call it Cleanest, because I'm going to have that say the cleanest rooms in town. Okay, I'm going to highlight frame 1 on this layer. I'm going to press on my text tool, and I'll come right down here and I'll type the cleanest rooms in town. I'll go ahead and use, at this point, use my selection tool, and I'm actually going to drag that off the screen, so when I run my movie, initially this will not even appear. I'm now going to go ahead and highlight frame 24, and I want to insert a keyframe, and anytime I want to change what's being displayed on the stage there, I'm going to insert a keyframe. To do that, I'll come right back up here, I'll go Insert, Timeline, and the keyboard shortcut there is F6, but again, I'm going to insert a keyframe. Okay, on frame 1, I'm going to have the text off on the left. On frame 24, I'm going to go ahead and use my selection tool, which I've already got selected here, and I'm simply drag that text off to the right. So again, here's frame 1, it's off way over on the left, off the stage, and frame 24 off to the right. I'm now going to simply right click anywhere here in the middle, and I'm going to go Create Motion Tween. And at this point, I'll go ahead and highlight frame 1, and I'll come up here and go Control Play, and I can see it takes about 2 seconds, and that text will appear on the stage there. Well, at this point, if I wanted to, for example, if I just wanted that text to appear on the stage and disappear, two options here. If I want to have that disappear, I could select these files right here and remove them. I could simply, I was a right click and I'll go Remove Frames. And if I was to now play the movie, I could come up here to Control, I could go to Play, the text will appear, and then bang, it's gone. Okay, but in this particular case, I wanted the text to appear, so I'm going to highlight frame 72 and simply insert a frame, which is F5 again. Insert Timeline Frame. Another way I could have that text disappear was to insert a blank keyframe. So I could have positioned my cursor here on 25, and I could have gone Insert Timeline Blank Keyframe, which was kind of, in this particular case, in effect about the same as removing those frames. So again, if I was to come up here and go Control, Play, whoops, I got to get my playhead back on frame 1 first. Okay, get it back on frame 1, go to Control and Play. I can see the text comes in and then it disappears. Well, let me just undo that, and I'm just simply going to go ahead and press Control Z and a few times in the keyboard shortcut there. Why was that Control Z? Edit is going to undo previous changes there. Okay, so I've now got the cleanest rooms in town coming in. I'm going to go ahead and press on my Insert Layer button. I'll come up here, I'll type this, and I'll call this Text 2, and this is going to be my phone number, or the phone number here. And I'll hit the Enter key, and now what I want to do is have this start on about frame 24 here. That's going to be the phone number. So if I want to have this start right here, I'm going to insert a blank keyframe, and to do that I'll come up to Insert, Timeline, and I'll choose Blank Keyframe. So now nothing is going to appear. Now here on frame 25 here, I'm going to go ahead and insert the phone number. To do that, I'll press on the Type tool, and I'll come right over here, and I'll go ahead and enter the phone number. Area code 123-4567 there. Okay, so that's right here on frame 2425. Here is the phone number. And again, I want this to last about 2 seconds, so I'm going to come out here to frame 48, and I'm going to insert a keyframe because I'm going to change. I'm going to have it go from being over here on the right to having the text appear over here. So I'm about here on frame 48, and I'll come up here to Insert, Timeline, and I'll choose Keyframe. And now I'll go ahead and use my selection tool, and I'll drag that phone number over. Okay, I'm now going to go ahead and right click anywhere in this area, and I'll create a motion tween. And let's go ahead and I'll highlight frame 1, and let's take a look at what we've got here so far. I'll go Control, I'll go Play. The first piece of text comes in, then the phone number, then nothing. And that's lasting about 6 seconds. Let me repeat that one more time here. So this, I'll go Control, Play, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So 2 seconds for the first text, 2 seconds for the next, and there'll be nothing for 2 seconds. And again, if I got loop turned on, I'd repeat that whole process. I'll tell you what, I'm going to just go ahead and show you here. I'll come up here and go to Control, and I'll go Test Movie. And here's how it would actually appear if I was to actually save this right now, put it on the web. The cleanest rooms in town, the phone number, 1, 2. The text comes back in. Then the phone number. Now it's going to one more time. 1, 2, second delay, and repeat it. Okay, well let's assume I want to possibly another way to increase or decrease the duration of this movie is to change the frame rate. This is the default frame rate in Flash, 12 frames per second. Well, what I could do is open up my property window. I could come here to Window, Properties, and choose Properties. Your property window would probably already be visible. I'm going to go ahead and press here on the stage because I can see I've already got my phone number selected, so I'm getting properties for that. I'm going to go ahead and press over here on the stage. Now, this is the properties kind of for the whole movie. I'll press on this size button right here, and I can see by default it's displaying 12 frames per second. If I want to speed this up a little bit, I could go to 24 frames per second, and I go ahead and press OK. Now, rather than lasting 6 seconds, this whole movie would last 3 seconds. And let me come up here and show you. I'll go Control, Play. 1, 2, 3. About 3 seconds there to play that movie. Okay, and if I wanted to slow that down, I could press here again on this icon, and maybe I'd go down to 6 frames per second. And maybe I'll close my property window, Control F3. Well, I'll do that. And one more time here. This is going to slow it down. So now, at 6 frames per second, it's going to take about 12 seconds here. And I'll come up here to Control, Play. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4 there. Okay. Let me go ahead and open up my property window one more time. Control F3 is the keyboard shortcut. Press here on the stage just to make sure I'm on the properties for the whole movie. I'll press on this icon, and let me go back to my default here, 12 frames per second there. Okay, and I'll close my property window. And one last thing is let me go ahead and show you how to turn on the looping or turn that off. And to do that, I'd come right over here and go to File, and I could go to Publish Settings, and I'll choose the tab HTML, and I can see right now I've got my loop turned on, and I can either turn that on or turn that off, depending, again, especially if you're on the web here. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave that as is there. I'm going to leave that on. And let me just, at this point, just go ahead and close this window out. So again, one more time, let me run through this. If I come up here to Control, go to Test Movie, I've got some text coming in, then some more text, about a 2-second delay, 1, 2, and it repeats itself over and over here. Well, hopefully you learned a little bit about animation, in particular frames, keyframes, and blank keyframes in this video. I'll catch you in the next video. Thank you.